expecting this. So I want to welcome and thank everybody for joining and spending this hour with us. We're here to bring you a very special regional synergies. So my name is Trista. I'm the Director of Indigenous Relations here at Co-operatives First, and I'm originally from the Little Pine First Nation. So Co-operatives First is located in the Treaty 6 territory and homeland of the Métis. So Co-operatives First is a nonprofit business development organization created to support new co-op development in Western Canada. So about 4 years ago, the idea of regional synergies came to feature initiatives, not necessarily cooperatives, but for all communities, organizations, or groups that wanted to collaborate, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous groups, to create economic opportunities. So the purpose of this was to show local win-win solutions. And when we created this 4 years ago, little did we expect that we would actually be a part of the regional synergy. So that is really coming full circle on this initiative. So today I have Audra Krueger from Co-operatives First, George Casimir from Community Futures Development Corporation of Central Interior First Nations, and Stephanie Fletcher from, well, actually both organizations, which we can get to in a little bit, to hear and talk about this new partnership that we formed to support economic development opportunities in BC. So I'd like to welcome Audra, George, and Stephanie. And if you would like to introduce yourselves and your role in organizations, that would be great. So George, I will start with you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is George Casimir. I'm a member of Tecumseh to Secwépemc and the general manager for Community Futures of Central Interior First Nation. We're a developmental lender. Not only are we a Community Futures, but we're also an Indigenous financial institution, with our funders being NACA as well. And under our organization, we also have a charitable society to do some of the great work that we do and expand our partnership opportunities within our region. So looking forward to touching base some more on what we do and how our partnership has evolved.
Okay, thank you, George. Audra?
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, I guess. Thanks, Trista, for leading the charge on this. And George and Stephanie, it's great to see you. I'm the executive director here and have been for about 10 years. And so our nonprofit organization works across Western Canada to help build awareness on what a co-op is and where it might work. And then the other big bucket is we work alongside groups that are doing really cool stuff to make their communities better places to live using the co-op model to achieve that. So I get to work alongside Trista, leading the charge for Indigenous relations, and a great team that you don't see here in the room, but they're behind the scenes. Well, Kevin's actually here behind the scenes, and you'll see his face maybe, but we've got another group of people here that support the work that Trista and I do. So great to see you all. Thanks.
Hey. And Stephanie, would you like to introduce yourself? You are on mute.
There we go. White Co-operative Winscrest, Stephanie. Hello, my name is Stephanie Fletcher. I'm the business analyst for Community Futures Central Interior First Nation, and in partnership, the liaison partner for Co-operative First. And I'm out of Kamloops, BC.
Thank you, Stephanie. So I have a few prepared questions, but that I will be asking Audra and George, and as well as Stephanie. If at any time you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, and we will call on you when the time comes, or you could put in the chat and Kevin can read it out for us. So I will get into the questions. So the very first question is for Audra. So what inspired you to consider forming a partnership in the first place?
Well, I just want to be clear that I've sort of just glommed on to Trista's coattails here. And so the question's for me, but it's really about, you know, how Trista connects with people in meaningful, important ways. And one of those people she connected with was George. And, you know, I heard about George long before I had the pleasure of meeting him as a, you know, a trusted person doing really good and important work. And so that was sort of the background there. And then as we talked in-house about all the opportunity that's in BC, it became how do we get in there, and how do we kind of leverage the co-op messaging, the co-op model, and what we do here. We're headquartered in Saskatoon. And it seems like just BC's just geographically very far, but also it's very different than the prairies. And so we knew we had to do something. And, you know, I think a lot of you on the call here are from small organizations and small nonprofits and stuff, and partnerships are very efficient, you know, if the right people are at the table. So you can, if it's good, both parties win. And so this one, I think, is definitely in that that category, but also it's way more fun to work together on stuff. And as you can tell from our back and forth, this is a pretty fun group to work with. So Trista inspired this partnership.
I thank you. I'm blushing. So actually, I have a question for George. Since, yeah, Co-operatives First is based in Saskatoon, and we're looking to expand our reach throughout BC. For yourself as an organization in BC, what opportunities for the community futures, not only your organization, but your clients as well, did you see in this partnership supporting?
Thank you, Trista. Well, I think the opportunities, you know, here in BC, we use language like cluster growth. But to me, when you look at the definition of cluster growth, it's really how do we move industry forward that have a like contributions or a like business kind of tools, whether it be in agriculture or, you know, forestry. How can we help develop cooperatives? So it was really interesting when I first met Trista and Audra back, I think it was at a prosperity conference, maybe like 6-7 years ago or something. I was very interested because we didn't really talk too much about cooperatives here. At least I didn't in our organization, but being in developmental lending, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing a very important idea to present to clients and talk about at workshops and conferences, like how do we work together? So, you know, I think a naturally born partnership started developing, and we wanted that bigger presence here of Co-operative First in BC. So we just started talking more and more and started talking about the opportunities, what we're involved in, because we have like farmers markets, we have we teach people like so many things with different economic workshops. We're always out in communities, whether it's forestry conferences, natural resource conferences, job fairs, economic conferences, and just having that opportunity to have Cooperative First representation at our tables along with our information so we can see. Because at the end of the day, I'm not just trying to drum up clients for CIFN. I'm trying to help cluster growth or cooperatives develop and give advice or bring them to the right people. Because if it's beyond what I know or what Stephanie is learning from the so many great training opportunities, we have to send them back to make sure that they get the correct and up-to-date advice from the fine folks at Co-operative First. And then at the end of the day, if there's a way for us all to work together, that makes it worthwhile.
Thank you, George. Okay, so I'll go back to Audra. So what are some of the specific goals or challenges that led you to seek out a partnership rather than pursuing the objectives independently?
Yeah, thanks for that one. I think the goals remain, but there's an important add-on now based on who the partner is, which is CIFN for Community Futures. So the goal was to increase the amount of people we were talking to in BC. It was to ensure that we had someone going to talk to the First Nations groups that understood the local realities. And it was to drive people who are interested into co-ops into cooperatives first so that we could support them if they were wanting to create a business or service. And now I think with CIFN, it's more about, or it's additionally, what are their products and how does that lending work, and how do the IFIs work, and trying to understand that as well. Now that we have this partnership, it's learning for us on our side too, to find those efficiencies so that we can work with the groups from understanding what a co-op is, the ideation of their business idea, and then how to resource that. Do they need loan funding? What other kinds of supports do they need? And so this is sort of an evolving partnership where I think we're hoping to, at the end of the day, it's about our clients achieving their goals through the cooperative model, and being able to bring in financing that will allow that to happen. So that's a really important thing. And some of the challenges we sort of had to endure was, with a very conventional approach, which is to put a staff person, in BC, train them up real good, and, send them out. And it would be, that's hired an awesome person. However, it's really, really hard when you're kind of a lone wolf and you're trying to deliver a message and be there at all the places where these discussions are happening. And it's a big ask of anyone, no matter how much support that we're trying to give from afar. So the whole distance thing, when you're, literally beside yourself in your bedroom, or in your living room working, it wasn't something that worked. And so we had to take a step back and think, how do we still have those same goals and achieve it differently? And so this partnership idea emerged, and it's been fabulous.
Yeah, it's been actually really a great learning curve, and I just want to throw in my little 2 cents here. Is I work as the director of Indigenous Relations, and I love going to BC, and I wish I could spend more time out there because there's some fantastic groups and people I've met out there. But also I felt the difficulty of being the little Cree girl from the prairies when I go out there, and I was actually referred to that a few times. So you really do want somebody connected within the community. So and knowing how things work, because community dynamics are so different from West Central Saskatchewan to interior BC.
Trista,
So
can I add to that?
yes.
I think it's really important what Audra brought up. It's that connection, and to know when you develop a partnership that there's not a single person out there on their own, because just our network, like CIFN as a CF, there are 34 in the province, and we communicate provincially all the time. It's like one big provincial team. And when we have messages and links and talking about cooperative development, it's very interesting to CFBC to participate. And then working with NACA as an Indigenous financial institution, there's 11 IFIs in the province. So again, both on the CF side and the IFI side, we're touching almost every square inch of the province with our messages, our partnerships, what we do, and how we can support these initiatives. So, yeah, absolutely. It's having that support and having Stephanie here working for us as our lender, but as our liaison for Co-operative First. It's a good combination. Thanks.
Yeah, things, and that actually does support, like with our yeah, creating those networks and having those great networks. So because you have come into you came part of the partnership with those networks. Um, was there, what did you kind of, how did you identify that we would be a good mix into that partnership and collaboration that's as cooperatives first and to partner with George?
I think it's the message. I think the message is aligned. Like everything what Cooperative First does in supporting developing these cluster growths, these industry growths that are alike. That's what we want to see here too. We want to see groups working together and developing together because say there's 2 or 3 different individuals developing a co-op, they can share in some of the related expenses and capital investment, and they can work together to get the messages out a lot quicker. And that's how we even service and supply supports for our clients. It's like, how can we support you to get your messages out there quicker? So there's no quicker way than having more than one person starting that business and getting those messages out there to their potential clients. Thanks.
I want to jump in on that too. So months ago, or was it about a year ago, Trista, we traveled to Kamloops and George gave us a fabulous tour around the community, and we got to see how beautiful things were there and felt very jealous because we had to go back to -20 and it was quite lovely there. But I remember having lunch after that, and we were discussing, ideas and thoughts and approaches, and just thinking, oh, wow, we're really aligned on how we approach things, which is from, like passionately pragmatic, meaning at the end of the day, it's ideas and values and everything, all that's really, really important, but your sort of very practical approach to things around like making sure that the client is at the center of all you do was just, I just remember the moment when I just thought that we're on the same page here. And that's also really important for a partnership, is that you have that sort of, ethical is the wrong word, but you have a very similar approach to the sort of shared goals and vision, and there's overlap there. But if you come with vastly different approaches to achieving the goals, even though they're like adjacent, that's not going to work. But I remember feeling like I had a lot of faith in any kind of whatever we were, we were at beginning stages, whatever was going to come out the other side of the discussion. I felt very confident that because we had that, we're on the same page and had that understanding of each other, that the result, it wasn't maybe a direct line, but we're going to get there.
Hey, yeah, thank you for that question. So I'm going to change things up a little bit here. So we've been talking about this partnership and how We are both our organizations are working together to support cooperatives and economic development throughout BC. So what does this partnership actually entail? So I would like George to introduce Stephanie and Stephanie's role in this partnership.
Yes. Before I hand it over to Stephanie to explain in a little more detail, part of our collaboration, we all believe in numbers and getting results. So, we identified some of those important things like how many conferences or workshops or, what do we have to do in terms of deliverables? Because we can't just sign a contract or a partnership agreement without having these parameters. So that was important for us to, kind of flush out, and then to have Stephanie get into the position as a liaison to ensure that we hit those targets and bring that back to Co-operative First, and then that's how we start the foundation of building cooperatives. So there you go, Stephanie.
So what am I supposed to say?
Looking at this partnership, Stephanie is our cooperative development liaison, our partnership liaison. And so Stephanie came into this role. She's actually been working for the Community Futures of Central Interior First Nations for
Years.
a while, years. And Co-operatives First is supporting her in trading with cooperatives and the cooperative model. Um, so, Stephanie, as your role as a cooperative partnership liaison, can you discuss your role and kind of your tasks that you've been doing?
Okay. So I've been in Indigenous banking for 26 years, and I think this is an absolutely incredible relationship. Saying that being in Indigenous lending for 26 years, I didn't know what a cooperative was. So taking the training and understanding was great. I see this partnership very, like you said, beneficial to both sides. Seeing the cooperatives first in BC is new for people. However, when we're at these conferences, a lot of people are from Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta. They're coming to us now and saying, oh, cooperatives, they know, and then they want to talk more because they're excited to see this in BC. I think that it is very exciting to get the word out there because not everything is a fit for a sole proprietor or a corporation or limited. I think when people are thinking outside of the box, a cooperative is definitely out there now, whereas I don't think it was out there before, right? Whereas people are coming together for the same purposes and creating this business model, whether for profit or non-profit, and benefiting from it. So I think it's great. It's been very, it's been a pleasure to educate people as I'm educating myself, because a lot of people just don't know. They don't know. So I think this partnership is definitely going to bring some good referrals to Trista and to you guys on both ends, for our clients and for your future clients.
Great. But before we move on to the next question with Stephanie, another great benefit of partnering with such an amazing organization is actually next week on November 18th, we are going to have a day of in-person workshops. So if you are in the Kamloops area or know anybody in the Kamloops area who want to take a free workshop, lunch will be provided to learn more about cooperatives, if they're a fit, and kind of the ins and outs. You'll have time in person to meet with us in the morning, and in the afternoon, our partners here at Community Futures Central Interior First Nations will be talking about all of their programmings, their services, and what they offer. So it's a full day of workshops in person. They're free. So if you are in the Kamloops area or know anybody in Kamloops who would like to take advantage of this, Kevin has posted a sign up link in the chat box. So I really hope to see you there. So next I will be moving on to Stephanie. Again, since you are very new to co-ops and have been working with us for a few months now, is there anything that surprised you about learning about the co-op model itself?
I guess being in lending for so long, I wish I knew more about it sooner. I think, there's a lot of previous clients I've could have maybe helped that maybe I couldn't have. So again, great to be partnered with you guys and to get this word out. And then again, because we are the Indigenous Community Future Central Interior First Nation, we do deliver some grant programs for Indigenous clients. So partnering up there, definitely a bonus for both of us.
Great. So the final question that I have for Stephanie is, what do you enjoy about being the cooperative partnership liaison?
I'm sorry?
What do you enjoy about your role so far?
Educating people, because people, like I said, being a lender for 26 years, and there's a lot of people that wouldn't even think about opening a co-op, that this is the model for them. So it is really exciting, especially for Indigenous artisans. Being an Indigenous lender, we see a lot of people and a lot of businesses, they want a storefront. Now, I'm telling you, and you guys know what rent's like. Well, storefronts are next year. The leasehold is almost busting the project. Well, come on, you form a co-op and you get a few designers in there and artisans, and woo, there we go. So to me, brilliant, because I mean, and George, we see this all the time. People coming in and want the storefront, and the leasehold is so expensive, right? But I mean, again, daycare, what a great opportunity to do a co-op for a daycare. That's my favorite, one of my favorite, trying to get people to think is definitely the artisans, and then the daycare as well, because it's that focus, how it's different. So yeah, I really enjoy it's exciting to educate people and kind of show them that, there's something else out there. So I get excited by that.
It's amazing, Stephanie, and I love your enthusiasm about learning about co-ops. So those are my prepared questions. If anybody has any questions for us right now, please feel free to raise your hand. Oh, we have Ashley.
Hi, Hadi. Hello, George. Hello,
Hi, Ashley.
Stephanie. So I represent, I'm here for Vince Prince, my executive director. I'm with the Aboriginal Business Development Center. I do have a new BSO or business support officer with me today, Brooklyn. So some of the questions that that were kind of floating around my brain was, one, how does our organization, we're in the northern part of BC, so our organization is an IFI as well. We do work with Community Futures of Central Interior First Nations. We also work with other IFIs around the province, but we are in the north. So if we have clients up here, how can we partner with you guys? How do we bring this kind of information to our clients up here? And how do we get one of these workshops in Prince George? So those were some of the questions I had. And is there a different organization that maybe is partnering with Co-ops First in Prince George that we're not aware of? So yeah, those were my questions. Thank you.
Ashley, great to see you. Excellent questions. Nice to meet your new BSO. I think some of those questions are pretty straightforward. Because when I look at your northern clients and the potential, if you have some, if you don't have the contact information for Trista or their team back in Saskatchewan or Saskatoon, we'd be more than willing to help make those connections, because it's about referrals. We're not going to take the client from start to finish here under our roof. We rely on cooperatives first to, make those. Develop those agreements, and then hopefully at the end of the day, as IFIs, we're here to provide some capital support. And that's kind of I think the benefit of it. And I know that Trista and her team would love to get up to Prince George to do a workshop or two. And that's the whole connection about this. It's like developing these partnerships, putting faces together with organizations and saying, hey, we want one up in our area. And there we go. So I'll Trista, take that away, I guess.
Thanks, George.
So, yeah, we'll have I'll reach out if you're interested in having a workshop. Something great for our organization, because we are created to spread awareness of co-ops and people who are interested. If there is the interest, please feel free to reach out and we can book something for Prince George. As for other partnerships at this time, this is a pilot project. So I'll let Audra talk about the pilot project.
Yeah, so really excited about the opportunity to go to Prince George. I know that's been long identified as a place that we should be doing more work. But to get back to sort of the inspiration of this partnership, it just seemed like a long ways away, which it is, but it's not. So it was sort of something we identified as we were falling short in getting to some places. So, having a workshop that would be sort of a partnership, hopefully between us and the Community Futures in Prince George, to just even host us and welcome and take part in the sort of invitations and facilitating that. It's really, really important to have someone on the ground who is working alongside us to get people there and make them feel welcome, but also to sort of let us know what the lay of the land is. Stephanie might know better than us, and so we'll work with her on that. But really great to hear that. And our organization is always open to really exploring partnerships that sort of like this one. That's mutually beneficial to both parties in the short term, and then there's long-term possibility of all kinds of other cool things happening. So it's really just the start of something. But as Trista said, we do like to pilot things so that we can check in. And George mentioned in our agreement, there are things we need to deliver on both sides, just to make sure that George and I have a board of directors to report to, and like various boxes we have to check. So we, have to like evaluate it as well at one point. We plan to do that in about a year's time, to check back in on that and just see how this partnership is going. But early indications are it's on fire. It's doing good.
I just want to add, here's some detail too for everybody who's online right now. I'm not going to provide numbers, but this is so to be specific on promoting and developing things. We have to be attendance and showcase at a certain number of conferences. We have to be doing trade show participation to talk about the partnership and about Co-operative First and how that fits in with what we do. We have to look at a couple of projects. How can we get projects started? And we have we hope that we start 2 new cooperative projects this year. Customer referrals. and community workshops. So these are all things under our partnership that, we'll work with anybody within the province and work with Tristan and her team and Audra and, support and make them happen.
So I also want to add a little bit to this is with spreading that awareness and creating more co-ops in Western Canada, we do have a lot of online resources, training, um, online courses that are free and available to anybody, whether or not you're starting a co-op or you're an organization that wants to support cooperative development or in the legal or accounting field. So there's different streams that you can take. Or if you're working in a cooperative and want to learn more about the model. So we have a number of courses available online. They are free. So if you're interested in taking any of those and have any questions or want to discuss, we are still really willing and able, our team, to have those discussions with you or any questions on the co-op model. So as we've talked about and George mentioned, is part of Stephanie's role is that outreach part in education of co-ops. And then so Stephanie does go out and makes those connections and educate. And in-house cooperatives, she will refer once people are ready to incorporate, and Cooperatives First will take over that incorporation, setting up bylaws, making sure that the governance is put into place. And once they are ready to go for financing or grants, then they will be working again back with Stephanie for that financing part. So just a little overview of how this partnership will be working.
I don't know if there's any more questions, but if I could just add a couple more things. So we're hosting next week along with the Cooperative First and some of our developmental lending workshops, but we're hosting an agricultural conference. And this is where ideas come out of developing partnerships. And I've done this for the last couple of decades with joint ventures, and I've been in developmental lending for I think about 16, 17 years. I was on council for my community for 4 terms. So, always doing these relationship building. And one of the panels, it's a final panel on one day and this is just an example, of the president of the BC Cattlemen's Association. And I have their owners from Alberta, but they just bought BC Supreme Meats, which is an abattoir. And our panel, I'm going to moderate and discuss how to develop a partnership. And when you're doing that, it's just, you start with a business case, but then you start relating it to how do we develop the cooperative first? Because their goal is to develop these partnerships with First Nations communities on how they develop finishing abattoirs, not the original, because they already have the licenses in place. So it's about developing a number of these alike opportunities. So I'm really excited to, moderate things like that. I have great speakers. We have 4 national organizations, including Cooperative First, Farm Credit Corp, NICAF, and NACA, who will all be in attendance. So, with that kind of knowledge under one roof at a conference, there's going to be a lot of great ideas shared. So, I just wanted to give that example of one of our panels where at the end of the day, it could be a cooperative development for finishing abattoirs, which would be a great idea. And that's how we like to think about things. How do we just take it from an idea and actually develop it into something that actually works? So we're excited for the upcoming weeks and our ongoing relationship and how we develop a co-op businesses.
Thank you, George. I'm really looking forward to that because I think it's supposed to get really cold and snowy here next week. So I'll love some time in in Kamloops and presenting with those workshops. Is there any other questions from the audience?
We got one from Jennifer here. What are the typical partnerships? Sounds like they are not always startups.
Okay, Jennifer, would you like to clarify about the partnerships?
Hi, yes, sorry, I'm attending this on behalf of our organization, and it's completely new to me. Obviously, I know what a cooperative is in general, but I'm just trying to see how this could particularly, if anything, relate to us. We're an organization that supports immigrants to Canada. We have, lots of programs, entrepreneur programs. We do partnerships with other organizations. So I'm just wondering if this is something more that we would possibly offer to clients, or is it something that maybe, could potentially work into one of our programs? So I'm just trying to wrap my head around how this could possibly relate to us.
I could take a stab at it, Trista. Thanks for your question, Jennifer, and the good work that you're doing. We have had great success with cooperatives and like newer Canadians. There's very specific needs there, but the challenge is capacity and such. So one good example here in Saskatoon, there's an organization that assists newcomers called Truly Alive. And what was identified by their clients and such was that there was no childcare that they felt confident sending their children. First of all, it's a childcare desert here in most of Western Canada. But secondly, they wanted a place and a space that understood cultural inclusion and making people feel welcome, and specific curriculum. And so they were an organization that spearheaded the creation of a childcare cooperative, a separate entity, but they played a large role in kind of facilitating and incubating that initiative. And so I think that's a really great example. And some of the stuff that we can do is workshops or sessions for your clients. But again, understanding that the challenge is the capacity of the folks forming the cooperative, but there's all kinds of really interesting ways to make the model available and plant seeds, essentially. And lots of newcomers come from countries that have a strong tradition of cooperatives. So in some ways, the co-op knowledge Canadians might be higher than the Canadians that have been here for a long time.
Okay, thanks. So might be a start is just looking at some of the educational components that you have available.
Yeah, that's usually the good place to start. And also, yeah, like what the clientele that you've been working with, what are they interested in, and we can work with you to adapt some of that educational tool if you want to support. One partnership that informal partnership that we've been working with another organization that actually took our educational tools of our Intro to Co-ops course inside the prison system. So because our online courses are all online and people who are incarcerated do not have access to the internet, we were able to work with them to give them our tools with our Intro to Co-ops workbook and DVDs, so then they could adjust it to fit their needs. So really, we're open to seeing which educational tool that you want to offer, and if there's any other type of tools that we have, because we do not only do we have our online courses and workshops, but we also have the Co-op Creator and Business Plan Builder as well. So if you want to check out our website, it's a great place to learn more about co-ops and the cooperative model.
Krista, we had one more question about asking about business succession. Have you seen co-ops used in business succession?
I might throw you that one to you, Kevin, put you on the spot there.
Well, we were in Sook a couple weeks ago, where there was a really beloved cafe that was closing. We've seen a few examples of this. It's quite a common thing where the community wants to see this business continue, so they come together and form a cooperative and run it collectively. So yes, definitely we've seen a lot of examples of that. And then Dinesh was asking about a workshop in Saskatoon coming up soon. We could reach out to you, Dinesh, and connect with you and chat about what kind of info you're looking for. So we'll make sure to do that.
Yeah, so we don't, if there's a large interest in a workshop, we can talk further about that. However, if you're anywhere within Western Canada and want to learn more, our workshop is actually, in-person workshop is based off of our Creating Connections workshops that are held quarterly. So if you want to go to our website, our next Creating Connections workshop is December 2nd at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you would like to, if you'd like to join, feel free to sign up.
Yeah, they're looking for childcare cooperative stuff specifically. Yeah.
We can reach out on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, going once, going twice. Any more questions? All right. So I want to thank everybody for spending the last almost hour. I'm just gonna go around the room if there are any final words. This time I will start with Stephanie.
Nice to see everybody. If you have any questions, you can feel free to contact me at Stephanie@CIFN at, oh dear, my acronym CFDC of CIFN.com. Have a good day, everybody.
Put that in the chat.
Yeah, I will.
Yes, thank you, everybody. So interested to see and see how this partnership evolves, because not only the startups and the succession, but how do we assist those already in business as well, and to come in collectively to build their businesses under the cooperative structure. So excited to see and learn and see how the partnership goes. I know it's gone fantastic, and looking forward to a number of successes. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much. And, thanks, special thanks to George for leading the charge on this partnership and, building trust with us and being okay with, we do have some, pretty hard things and deadlines to meet and such, but it's also this evolving thing. And so having that sort of positive, helpful attitude is greatly appreciated. And Stephanie, you're just the perfect person, and I can't thank you enough for taking this on. So thank you so much.
Yeah. So, yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us here today. We will be sending out a bit of a recording, but we look forward to connecting and we're here. We're Co-operatives First. We're spreading the awareness of co-ops. So we hope to connect soon, and please feel free to keep in touch, join some of our workshops, and I'll see you soon. Muestas.